Hello and welcome to Before the Shot Clock. This is week 2. We obviously just had our interview with Reed Kurtz, which was very exciting, but this is back to our normal scheduled programming, and I'm super happy to have you back. So we're going to start off with a recap of the last 2 games on this past weekend, and then we're going to go into a preview for the upcoming week, and then I'm going to tell a fun lacrosse story at the end of it all. So Saskatchewan jumped out to an early lead in that game, but it was a tale of 2 quarters. Calgary did claw back. Saskatchewan was up at 5 at half, though, so it kind of looked like it could have been their game fully at that point. Robert Church and Keenan led the charge for the rush, but the ball was spread around quite a bit too much for Calgary to be able to handle. Going into it, I thought Brock Haley was going to have a really good week. Brock Haley was probably the least of their worries. Every guy, Keenan, Church, Mans, they were all over the place. Their passing was very, very good. Saskatchewan's offense looked like a threat. And I don't think they have a certain guy that you got to really cue in on, but I think all of their guys as a total are very, very good. I thought Frank Chiliano played really well for Saskatchewan as well. He stopped the shots that needed to be stopped. Generally speaking, from a lacrosse defense / goalie perspective, anything from the outside, your goalie should stop. There is some exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, if it's shot from the outside, your goalie should have a pretty good eye on it. I felt Calgary's offense just didn't have enough going on with it. Seemed a bit disconnected. Tyler Pace did impress me, however. The only thing with Calgary's offense is it seemed like they were, when I say disconnected, it felt like they were running plays but didn't really have reasoning to run that play. There was a lot of plays where there was a ton of picks going on, but there were picks way out of the way, and then there was nothing coming off of the pick. So there was no pass to the guy coming off of the pick. It was just picks for the sake of picking. And then Tanner Cook would get the ball and just shoot it when it wasn't necessarily a good shot from the point. So it kind of stopped the play right there, whereas it could have been a better shot could have come out of it. It seemed like, oh, well, there's nothing really there, so let's just take this shot. And that's not how you run an NLL offense. You can't even run an offense like that in junior. It just doesn't work. Halifax versus Oshawa. Oshawa ran into a hot goalie. Warren Hill, the goalie for Halifax, was absolutely incredible. The defense for Halifax was good too, don't get me wrong, but Warren impressed. Just to let you know, Warren Hill only let in 2 goals in the entire game. Both goals were scored in the first quarter, and then there was never any goals scored after that. So just the idea of that is unreal in an NLL level. He was stopping close ones, he was stopping long ones, he was stopping the mid-range, he was stopping stuff that was super, super challenging, but he just remained calm. He was in his pocket, and he did great. There really wasn't anything else in that game that I want to talk about, because I think Warren stole the show. It's hard as a viewer. I mean, I want to keep an eye on everything and be like, yeah, no, that was a good play, or that guy's having a standout game, or that guy's having a standout game. You can't really do that when a goalie steals the show like that. All you can do is just be in the moment, be present, and just happy with the show that you were being put on to see. I must say, though, if I am going to pick up another guy to talk about here that I think is worth talking about, it's Jake Withers. He was unstoppable in the face-off dot. I don't know what the percentage was, but it was something stupid. He won almost every single face-off draw. And when it comes to that, your team's going to get, if your face-off guy's winning more draws, then that allows you to get more possessions, which is going to then lead to more goal opportunities, more shots on net. I don't know if it necessarily did, because the shot totals were the same. However, that kind of shows that the offense is a little bit more down to earth than we are kind of expecting here based off that performance, because if your face-off guy's winning that many draws, you should be winning your game by quite a bit. So Oshawa obviously ran into a hot goalie. You can't blame them for that. Yeah, it'd be nice if they scored some more goals for their sake. But they will need to get their offense buzzing in more games going forward. Expect them to bounce back. Ty Kurtz, who's Reed Kurtz, who we just interviewed, it's his brother. Ty scored both goals for Oshawa in that game. But when you have guys like him, Simmons, Dyson Williams, you need to score a little bit more to make it, to give yourself a shot. Those guys are great, all great players. Their specialty is putting the ball in the back of the net. So let's just put the ball in the back of the net, guys. All right, so let's take a look into next week. We got Ottawa and Saskatchewan. I've got Saskatchewan as they looked really good, but it should be a close one, and I think Ottawa has a defense and offense with more firepower than that Calgary Roughnecks team that they just played. So expect that to be a closer game than, say, 3-goal deficit. I would say maybe a 1 goal, and Saskatchewan pulls ahead, or 2. But yeah, no, I think it'll be a very good battle. I think it'll be a physical battle. It'll be fun to watch. Colorado versus Philly. I really, with how Malcolm played in week 1, Will Malcolm and Andrew Q, and what I expected out of those guys, I do think Colorado will come alive, but I think it's going to take a little bit for them to get on the same page, being that there is a bunch of new guys on that offensive roster. But I'm expecting the Brennan O'Neill show incoming, but this should be a tight game. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia. Brennan O'Neill, for those who don't know, extremely good field lacrosse player, converted over to box lacrosse, I believe, last year, and put on a show. But I think he's a guy that's just going to get so much better as the years go on. So keep an eye on that game, because that will be an interesting one. The game that I'm going to be zoned into, even though my NLL Plus subscription is going to be running on 3 different TVs, and I'm going to be very, very busy watching lacrosse this weekend, but the game that I care about most, because I was born and raised a Toronto Rock fan, is Toronto versus Calgary. This is the game that Toronto's offense will come alive, and I'm saying that with no bias. I just think that Toronto needs that to bounce back after a mediocre offensive performance, I felt like, against Oshawa in week 1. So we'll see what happens, but I think it also gives those young guys, a little bit more opportunity, practice and they have had their first taste of in-game situation. So now it's applying all this to the next game, and I think that this will be the game that they make a big difference. So Toronto's offense will come alive, and if Calgary's offense comes in disorganized again, I expect Sam English and Latrell Harris and the rest of that defense to exploit that for turnovers. You got to be on your A game against those boys on the Toronto defense. They got some dogs, and they are aggressive, and they will jump on every opportunity they can get. Halifax versus Buffalo. I'm not even going to put in a prediction. I think Buffalo's sick. I think Buffalo's very good. I'd be worried about Buffalo from an offensive perspective. However, the goalie for Halifax is Warren Hill, and that defense for Halifax just did so well that I cannot... Warren Hill is my X factor. Warren Hill has a great game. Halifax wins. If Buffalo finds a way to get into the net around Warren Hill, Buffalo wins. It's unpredictable, though, because you really have no idea what's going to happen. Oshawa versus Georgia. I've got Oshawa in a bounce back game, but a close one. I expect Oshawa to edge out Lyle Thompson and the Swarm. This is one of those games where I think Oshawa's got to kind of point to prove, especially after only scoring 2 goals against Warren Hill the week prior. I think they are going to come in there knowing that they need to light the lamp and they need to show that their offense is for real. Otherwise, a couple weeks of this, and you may expect some offensive changes for that Oshawa team. So these boys are going to want to get the ball rolling quickly and get in the back of the net quickly in this game. Vegas versus Vancouver. I've got Vegas over the Warriors, which would send a good Vancouver squad to 0-2. However, I believe that Vegas is the beast in the West, and it's no hit to Vancouver, as they will still keep it close, but and they're going to get many more wins this season. I just think Vegas's team is extremely underrated, and I do expect them at the end of the season probably to be 1 or 2 first or second place in the West. I could be completely wrong, but this is what I feel, just based on looking at their roster on paper and just kind of knowing what kind of guys they have and who they have in their captaincy positions. I think Rochester will win in the Rochester versus San Diego series. Rochester versus San Diego game, sorry. And I'm a big Ryan Smith, fellow Burlington boy of mine. And I think his team is well built and will edge out this San Diego team, which I think has a scoreboard in that week 1 game against Ottawa that kind of flattered them. I don't really think they're as good as that scoreboard showed. I mean, you blew a 6-0 lead and almost gave up the lead. You don't have nearly as much firepower as you used to. I don't hate San Diego. I just don't think that they are a team that's going to be able to compete with a strong Rochester team this season. Rochester does look very, very good, and their offense is disgusting. Their defense is well built with veteran presence. Yeah. Okay, so here's a fun story for you. I was playing intermediate lacrosse in Mississauga, and this is the most intermediate lacrosse story I've ever heard, but I love it so much. There's a guy named John Robert Farmer, J.R. Farmer. Some people know him as Farmer. He's a referee throughout like the Oakville, Mississauga, Toronto, like that whole area. He's a referee now. Back in the day, Farmer was a teammate of mine. And Farmer decided that for pregame warm-ups, we would do our stretches. We would get all of our gear on. We'd be ready to go. You do a shuttle outside the arena, make sure everybody's sticks are working. And then we would do what he called the grocery run. The grocery run is maybe my favorite thing I've ever done in sports. Everybody used to laugh because I used to have a big smile on my face the entire time we did this. The grocery run is when you go to any grocery store that is around the proximity of the rink. So I think when we were playing there, it would have been like Orangeville, Halton Hills, Oakville. Like you made a point of going to these grocery stores. And I think some of these some of these centers, some of these grocery stores knew that we were on our way, and they went, "Hey, those Mississauga guys are coming. We should keep an eye and maybe put some security at the front." Because what we would do is we would go full gear. We would run into the grocery store. We would run the perimeter of the inside of the grocery store, and then we would run out of the grocery store. Meanwhile, Farmer is doing play-by-play saying, "Gotta get that bread. Boys, don't forget the milk. Don't forget the milk." And I'm telling you, full gear. The people's faces when we did this was insane. But my favorite part was I was a player at this point. I was playing defense. We would bring our goalies with us. Our box lacrosse goalies would come with us. And if you know anything about box lacrosse goalies, their equipment is massive. So the last time we did it, I think we were in Halton Hills, and security put all the chains up on the cash registers. So we're all hopping the chains, just trying to get out of there, right? How do you get box lacrosse goalies over that? So we had to run back, unhook the chain. I think one goalie did try to hop it and bailed, but nonetheless, you had to take the chain off because those goalies couldn't get up high enough over top of those chains. Nobody got arrested. Team never got in trouble for it. Team never got fined for it. Just a lot of laughs. All in good fun. But the grocery run is something that will go down in Mississauga. Now Badgers, but formerly the Tomahawks. History forever. And I'm happy that I was a part of it. Shout out J.R. Farmer for creating the best team engagement experience right before a game. If that doesn't make you ready to play, I don't know what would. So thank you very much for tuning into week 2. That was my story of the week. And I look forward to many more episodes of this. Let's enjoy this lacrosse this weekend, and then next week we'll come back and we'll talk about it again. And you can tell me how I'm wrong on all my predictions, and I will laugh about it and own up to it to the very team. Thank you very much. You take care, all right? Bye-bye.